Hello, how's it going? Been so long. I missed one day and it feels like it's been forever. How are you guys? Sorry, my stream I did it and then it said it couldn't be published to the channel. So if you saw it briefly, that's what happened. So that happens. I thought maybe something went wonky with the internet while I was away, and they're doing a ton of like tree work. They said they're cutting the trees on the roof. I was like, what does that mean? Apparently there's these huge oak trees along the back and the branches are on top of the roof of the building, so they're trimming them. And so they actually were asking me, when are you going live? And we'll be quiet for you. So hey Megan, hey Eliza, how's it going? Nice to see you. Everything look okay? I haven't actually, let's see here, am I put together? Yeah, it's cute, isn't it, Megan? Let's see here. I think I just realized I didn't even check my camera for my face and everything. I just made sure my iron camera was hooked up this time. Let's give you more of the needle. I try and show as much of the needle as possible. Hey, Sydney. Hi, Serena. Hello. All right, I'm going to be honest with you. I was really sick over the weekend. I didn't have allergies. And I didn't want you guys to be freaking out. But I'm fine. I'm feeling a lot better. And no, I don't know what I had. But yes, I have not seen anybody except my kooky landlord who loves to just pop in here. And my husband and daughter for weeks. I haven't even been to a public place in weeks. So yeah, I feel better. Thanks, Megan. Hey Eva, how's it going? Hello. Okay, so, all right. If you were here for the cutting video, especially if you're someone who's I don't actually get to talk with or anything, and you're just using my videos as a tutorial, and you saw me fitting it within an inch of its life on my dress form, I just want you to know that I did not know this pattern with that button band that I'm making in the contrast fabric. It sticks out from the bodice. It does not lay on top of the bodice. So that is why when I tried to put the back facing on in that video, and then it was this much off on each shoulder, and I looked at the camera like, the heck? That's why. So at during the sewing part 1, I was looking over the instructions because I want to make sure I don't actually want to make sure, but I try and make sure that I'm roughly what the directions are doing, just in case you're kind of using me as kind of a backup, I do try to look at it, unless I'm just yeah, I don't like sewing it that way, and here's an alternative, right? So, and I kept reading her instructions, and I was like, I don't understand how that works. And then I realized that would work if the button band sticks out. And I looked over the instructions really well, and it doesn't ever really say that. It just says there's a button band. And I just misinterpreted that the button band sits on top of the bodice. It does not. It sits to the right of the bodice. So, yeah. So, I have adjusted my pattern pieces to make sure that that is the case. So just make sure you do that. And it's also that adds an inch to the bodice right there. It gives me a little more circumference, which is actually fine by me. So anywho, I just want to give you that disclaimer. So just make sure you take that into consideration, and I'm going to put a note in that cutting video. And most people don't ever read the descriptions of videos, but at least I can, say that. So what else do I want to say? I think we're ready though. We're going to do French seams, and I'm even going to do the inseam pockets with French seams, which isn't a big deal. It just seems like it when you do it. Oh, and I got my package from Spoonflower. But look at this. I have the absolute perfect buttons for this dress. But they're ceramic. I've had them for forever. They've already been on a garment, and then they just tear through the thread. Ceramic buttons are awesome, and they were handmade by someone in my community. But they're heavy, so they would pull my dress a little bit. But they would cut the thread. I'm kind of disappointed. I need to put these on something that doesn't get washed, So I'm just going to use these dumpy little tortoiseshell buttons I put on everything. So, and then I got my Spoonflower package. I thought I'd open up with you guys. So, yeah. Hey, Patty. How's it going? Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. I got dressed to go to work yesterday, and then I laid in bed all day. I laid down on the bed because I felt kind of funny. And I was like, I'm just going to lay here. And I just laid there all day and it felt good. My family's like, if she doesn't want to go to work, the world's ending. So. Okay, so this is the mask making kit that Spoonflower started putting together. So let's see what it is. All right. So in case you missed it, I posted this on Instagram like last week. Spoonflower did a soft launch of making mask making kits. They've been extremely impacted with their production facility, printing fabric for probably a lot of people making masks and things. And they're trying to, by doing a kit, they're trying to probably divert their production so it's dedicated to that, and they have like an area dedicated for their mask kits. And then that way they know these are production orders and these are mask kits, you know? So, you know, yeah. Yeah, so I bought a mask in my fabric because, of course, I got the big knit print. I thought I got the small knit print. Oh, so it's actually, you get 2 masks. They're already there. You just cut it out. There's notches. Look at that. And I got twill ties. Why is my throat doing that? Sydney, I'm sorry. Hey, Ray. Yeah, right, Ray, exactly. Yeah, I never, ever get sick. All right, so is there instructions here? Oh, so the instructions are right here. So here you go. So you get 2 pieces of fabric. Here's the pleat, so it probably goes like this, right? Or I don't have the instructions with me, so I don't know. And then there's probably seam allowance. And then you have the other lining fabric. So, all right. Now we know. And it's $10 for 2 masks. And you get everything you need except for a sewing machine and a sewist. But if you look at that Instagram post, if you have a design that you know of that you want and you can't like figure out how to get it to come up as a mask kit, I show you in that Instagram post at the very end how to do it. I learned something new doing that because I knew that my designs had an ID number, but I honestly couldn't figure out how to find the design number. And it's, in fact, the way I figured out mine was the weirdest way. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not how you do that. And then I found it, and so I put a little tutorial because I'm not trying to make money on these. I get, to be totally honest, I get 74 cents per kit. So anybody you buy a kit from who you're using their fabric design, they get 74 cents, which is great. And they're using the Perennial Sateen Grand as their fabric. So I think that is the one that they have determined was the most compliant with health regulations. So, and you know, I would wash it first as well before you start wearing it. Common sense, right? So anyway, so yeah, I'm not trying to make money on them. I just thought it was a really cool thing that if you are like, you know what, we're going to be wearing these forever, you could design your own, you know? Yeah, it's a good deal. It's $5 a mask, right? You just have to do the sewing and it looks pretty simple. So yeah. So what do you mean 400? Oh gosh. Did you see, Sydney, do you follow the Can You Sew This For Me account? Because this poor gal who's a customer, or gal, I don't know if it's a gal, I'm sorry, I assumed. They got asked to make 20,000 and 40,000 masks. And they were like, are you kidding? I'm one person. I did the math. I was like, what would that take me to do? I would never do that. But I did the math and I wrote it in the comments. I was like, yeah, that I can do 6 per hour. That's without killing myself. And that's also like pretty good pace and completely finished. And I think I may have allowed a little bit for cutting in there. And that takes me 6 an hour. And so I figured it out that it was like 6,666 hours it would take make me to do 40,000 masks. I was like, that's kind of an inappropriate number. So, yeah, the kit does look awesome, right, Sydney? Yeah, so, oh yeah, that's one of my favorite Instagram accounts. Can you sew this for me? The host can be a little bit extra sometimes, but in their defense, it is a place to let people that get asked to sew things in kind of a ridiculous or assuming way to kind of vent. So, I need to turn my fan on. Just a second. I'm kind of hot. It's not surprising. How did I do this the other day? Wait a second. Okay, here's my fan. I don't really know how to do this. Here we go. That's not how I did it. I am about to burn my arm on my iron. Then I'd have a matching scar on the other arm. I think that's how I did that. Hopefully it doesn't bug me. So, yeah, I let them vent, exactly. I should take the, right. The Instagram account name is Can You Sew This For Me? Yeah. I think it's funny. Some of them, I feel like her response is a little bit like, I don't know. But at the same time, I kind of, I like it. And she'll have like a bunch of posts where it's like a victory for the person too. They're like, you guys, someone assumed to do this and then they brought me like 4 bottles of wine. So, hey, there's a win, you know. So there's those posts as well. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, my friend in Eastern Canada was like, it was so cold there. It's really nice here. We had the crazy thunderstorm the last couple days and an electrical storm that took out the power on Monday and hail yesterday. So that was kind of exciting. Okay, so I'm just actually looking at all my little seams here because when I checked my button band for the like make sure that it's actually going to work, and I had to recut out a new back neck. I trimmed up my neckband and I lost some of my back stitches and I noticed that. So, all right, let's do the skirt. Let's do this. So we have these big deep pleats. I think this is the back. No, this is the front. Do the back first. So how have you guys been? Oh, Serena, I'm sorry. Yeah, have you seen this? Like, look at this thing. I reached across my iron because I moved my ironing board right in front of my shelves with all my like yarn, which is all in like these like clear bags, and my books are right there. And it's all like, it's just like a you know, like a bookshelf, a deep bookshelf, and for like made for holding bigger things. And I temporarily put my ironing board right in front of it. And while I was waiting for the iron to heat up, I started looking, and I was looking at one of the books, and I burned myself on my iron really badly right there. And it's so sensitive. So now I'll probably have this scar for like 2 years, you know. And I feel like just now I was about to give myself a matching one. I am the lamest when it comes to being near an iron, you know. Oh, you got a water blister. Yeah, this one blistered. I didn't know how bad this one was until the blister popped. And then, like it was a few days later, like the next day. Where are these huge pleats? These, okay, wait. This is the center back, right? So let's mark this like that. And then there's 2 pleats. So here's one, here's the other. Okay, I'm just making sure. Because some of these have an extra notch for matching to the waist. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, but your fingers are, like, you use them 24/7, you know? So, I'm going to check how far I stitched down. I hope she says it, and I hope it wasn't a dot, because I didn't see a dot. Oh, maybe you don't stitch it down. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Stitch on pleat lengths 2.5 inches. Okay. So So I'm just going to do a little parallel. Almost lost my little basket. There we go. So I try and just keep it parallel to the fold here. Or what am I doing? There's probably pleat lines on the pattern, but you know, I've already long since folded up the pattern. Something like that. All right, let's go straight down. They are inverted pleats. And then you're going to open them up. I love pleats. Oh, yeah, Eva. I love it. Cindy, how's it going? Third day of nonstop rain, Eliza. Whoa. Is that who I heard in the news today, that you're having evacuations, Eliza? I didn't catch where it was, and I was like, wait, who's having evacuations? That's terrible right now. Wait, this is not the spot. There's that one. Yeah, that is it. Looks massive. Looks massive. You glad yours is a finger? I don't know about that. Yeah, water and grease. Yeah, water burns. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they kind of sting, those water burns. I know what you mean. They're like, the skin just stays so sensitive for so long. Wow, not in your media area. I'm glad that's not in your media area. I can't imagine people having to, you know, evacuate during quarantine. I mean, I'm probably being more precise than I usually am, aren't I? Aren't you proud of me? This is the reason why, if you make this dress, she says you're pretty much going to need a wide fabric for this, because these pleats are pretty deep. You could probably put your back with a seam, and that would help a lot. All right, so look at that. Look at how much. That's a lot. These are really big pleats. All right, so stitch them down, and then we're also going to press them. Match that center up. This gives you the hourglass look. And for me, that is a preferred look. I'm already very hourglassy, so when a garment kind of just goes with it, it kind of is good for my look, you know? Okay. I'm so excited. My daughter graduates tomorrow. I'm so excited. She finally finished school. She's finally excited too, you know? Now she's like, I can do whatever you want. I can go here for you. I can go there for you. I'm like, you did that before. But you know, it's like that feeling of like guilt-free doing stuff. All right, so I'm gonna iron that. I don't really need to iron it actually to do what we're gonna do next. So, all right, so let's do these extra pleats. So, oh, thanks for subscribing, Stacy. Let me say your name, Stacy. Yeah. No rain there. Oh, that's great, Beverly. I've never heard of that too. I think I've heard of something similar to that. I pinned this so that I knew that that was the pocket edge right there. But it turns out that it's actually pretty easy to tell. So the zip double's done being tested, you guys. I'm pretty excited to see the feedback. I'm really hoping that it wasn't really confusing, because I gave so many, not so many, I gave 2 other ways to sew it kind of at the last minute. And not the last minute before the testing, but like when I gave it to the graphic person, I was like, oh, by the way, I want this to have 2 different views. And it added so much work to pattern, of course. Even though it's a really similar, it really kind of adds a lot. And I'm really hoping it wasn't confusing for testers. And they're not like, why'd you give us all this information? Why do we have to look at a video to find it out? Because I didn't write out instructions for all of them. I only wrote out instructions for the original. All right, so there's one. And this is the side seam. There's only 2 pleats on the front. Look at how big this is right now, and like how small it's gonna be. Yeah, I know. I'm so happy for her. You know, it's like she doesn't really get to do what she really wanted to do, but at the same time, it's so hard, you know. You want to tell them it's temporary, you know, it's going to be fine. That just, you know, it's not the same. So, you know. Oh, that's awesome, Megan. I have a friend who's a teacher, and he still has like a month. I'm like, what is your school doing? They waited so long after the stay-at-home order to get back going that and they're still going with their school year, but still, like, the kids were all kind of willy-nilly by the time they got to it. And he is like, he's struggling to get some engagement for sure. And it's not a surprise to him or anybody, you know. So, okay, let's look at that, how much smaller that got. All right, let's open these up. Right, Ray? That's when you use those things. It's like when we used to use the big cutting machine, we had a chainmail glove to use with it. I actually worked at places when someone cut the tip of their finger off with that machine, and they're required to wear the chainmail glove, but the chainmail glove is so it's scary to kind of use, because you don't have very good tactile, you know, control. And it feels a lot more dangerous. No matter how long you use it and wear it, it always never feels that great. And it's heavy, so it kind of will sag and kind of, it's chainmail, so it's like loose metal around your fingers. And me and Rayanne decided we felt that they were too dangerous, and we're all about safety. Like, both of us were super safety oriented. And that was one thing we universally felt that they just weren't very safe, but that's what insurance companies would require of big, you know, places that their employees use. All right, I'm gonna do this one from the back. I had it a little bit off. These pleats look a little like they're shaped at the waist, but I don't know if it's my double gauze or my sewing, but the shaping looks a little wibbly wobbly. June 11th. Ooh, Karen. Doesn't that seem kind of way? 6 weeks, Sydney? Oh my gosh. Oh, that's smart, Sydney, with the pins. Yeah. This is the new normal, right? I don't know. All right. So here's our front. And here is the side seam. So that's the side seam over there. All right, so I have these pockets, and they're probably gonna be kind of a pain because of the fabric I have them in. All right, so these, like, they're gonna blow away. Let's put my pincushion on. So I'm gonna do French seam pockets. And these go up to the waistline. I love it when they do that. So I'm going to line it up all the way up there. My fan is blowing it away. Double gauze is apparently heavy enough. I'm going to do 1/4 inch seam, wrong sides together. And I'm going to clip right at the end of that and trim it close to 1/8. Alright, there's one. And let's see. This one? Yeah, it should be this one because the waist should be at the top now. Really, Megan? They just finished it there? Oh. See, Cricket School was set up kind of for this, so we're kind of just lucking out with that. And her school year ends anyway. Like, it's kind of... her school year's not even done yet. It's done at the end of this week. And graduation is Thursday night, and that's when it was supposed to be. She just finished all her schoolwork over the weekend, and she's done now. So it got pretty motivating at the end. She was like, I was like, you know, if you finish all your schoolwork, you're like done with high school. And she was like, yeah. Like she knew that, but she didn't know that, you know? And then she really, like, she was up late Friday, Saturday night, like finishing her last tiny bit. She was waiting to hear back from one teacher, and then her friend was like, I asked that question, I can help you. And so he helped her with it. All right, so there's that one. Hey, Sandy. I am feeling a lot better. I felt very much not good all weekend. I was achy, really achy for days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mild fever. And that was all day Friday, and I just sat here sewing that quilt, and the whole time thinking, I should probably go home. But I honestly thought, like, I have a blocked sweat gland. I thought it was infected, and I thought that's what it was. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And, you know, I was Googling crap and stuff like that, and, like, trying to figure out what else could I do. And then I finally went home, and I was like, yeah, I don't feel good. And then when I breathed in, I would cough like I had the allergy thing last summer. So remember that when that plagued me, it was just like that. And I thought that's what that was. I just thought, honestly, that, oh, that weird allergy thing is back. And I have an infection, and just everything's happening at once right now. And I was feeling a little flushed, and I was like, you know, that's kind of starting to happen to me right now. I'm 49, you know. So that kind of stuff. And then I think, and I was taking an NSAID, not like a, not acetaminophen. And so when I started taking that, I felt a ton better. And I think at Saturday night at like 10 p.m., I felt so much better that I was wide awake until 3 in the morning. I mean, I was just like calm. I felt great. I just felt such a relief to not feel so achy. And then I woke up at 7 in the morning, ready for the day, because I had slept, pretty much all day the day before. The dogs loved it. I'm starting with this lined up at the top, but by the time I get to the top, it's not lined up anymore. It's this between the lining and the double gauze, it's a little wiggly. Okay, come on. Oh my gosh, I just can't get the flat. Okay, let's see here. Did I trim that one? I did, right? Yeah. But yeah, and then by Monday, I felt pretty good. that was when we had the power outage. And so I came here because I left on Friday thinking I was going to be here Saturday. And then I was like, boy, I can't really talk. I'm coughing a little bit. And so I thought, and then I stayed home. And then I came on Monday because the power outages, I was like, oh no. You know how my alarm goes off on the surge protector when the power goes out? And my house is only a mile away. So I was like, oh, I'll bet the power went off at my office too. And they're going to be like, what is that noise? So I came in and I was feeling good enough that I was just hanging out here charging my phone since we had power here. So it wasn't a big deal. And then I went home and I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little better. So I'm going to iron all this now. So, oh yeah, Eliza, the remote education thing. Yeah, and she's not happy with you. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. The thing I mean, I'm really lucky. My daughter's obviously at an age where it's a struggle in a different way, but I'm not having to be her teacher. And this school, because it's independent study, there is an element that we are her teacher, but only in that we guide them. But they kind of take that off of us, even with the independent thing. So if your grades below high school are more like homeschooling, but anything in the upper grades, they kind of transition the kids to more of an independent study type of format, kind of gearing them up for college and stuff, and also just personal responsibility. And they're like advisors kind of keep them on track, and they're super strict. You have a missing assignment, you're kicked out. You get 3 missing assignments, you are kicked out and you can't come back. So the kids are very motivated to kind of not have to be in that situation. It's a really great school for that. And a lot of the kids, some of them are really remote and they just can't go to a public high school. Some of them may have health issues, or they have parents with health issues, or maybe they need to be a breadwinner for their family and this allows them to have a full-time job. Maybe they just want a full-time job and school's kind of a side thing for them. Some of them go to the colleges and they take full-time college classes. One of Cricket's friends graduated high school at that school at 16 years old with her undergrad completed and went to university here in town and had to lie to the other kids that she was 18 because she didn't want them to know she was like 16 and a half or 17 when she started. And then when she started getting invited to parties, she had to come clean. And she was like, I can be your designated driver. And then she graduated college, I think, this year, and she's my daughter's age. So it's like a good format for kids that are kind of just want that unique experience, So glad I didn't have to be her teacher that way because it's just not a good situation. Your kid doesn't really want to do, what most parents tell them to do. So, yeah, right. I feel that way too. I did that yesterday. I was like, I got ready for work, and then I laid down in bed and stayed there. So, yeah, right, Karen? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Karen, that's the thing is it's not that her school's better than other schools and that this worked. It's just because they were kind of set up this way, it worked okay. But a lot of kids, they don't want this experience. They don't want distance learning. They don't want independent education. They want to be in the classroom and they want that one-on-one, and they need the motivation of the teacher and their classmates or the social thing of it to kind of thrive. And Cricket doesn't need that, so she doesn't like that. In fact, that's what drove her kind of away from high school. So, oh, that's good, Sydney. Yeah, right? Montessori uses online. That surprises me. Okay. All right, I'm going to switch the iron. Yeah, that's exactly, Eliza. I mean, I'm painting a picture as if Cricket's like the model, responsible high school kid and just sits down and does her work immediately. But she's human, she's like, she does it when it's working for her. But, our situation was like, I said early on, I was like, you know what, this is your high school experience, not mine. So you need to figure out what you want out of it. I'm not going to struggle with you with this, so. All right, I'm just going to press some on my pleats a little bit. I like them to be really flat. Sometimes there's a little bump right there on that seam, and I want to kind of get rid of that early on. I was using this. Come on. Yeah, Liza. I mean, I think a lot of college students, too, are not quite ready to be in that situation. They go there because they're not sure what else they're supposed to do, right? I'm going to turn down the brightness a little bit. That seems a little bright. Sometimes I think, is school about getting the grades and learning the material, or learning how to be a project manager, you know? I think it's a little bit of everything. 4-H is really good for that. Cricket did have a fair bit of that, too. But, you know, she's the kind of person, probably shouldn't talk about her so much, because I have a lot of respect for my daughter. But she's the kind of person that she needs to respect the person teaching her. And if she doesn't, it's kind of a struggle. And I love teachers, and I really admire them, but there are some that just shouldn't be teaching, you know? And thankfully we didn't really run into but like one of those at her school, that they aren't going to, and that may have just been like, who knows what. Sometimes people just need to retire. You know what I mean? Look at these hedgehogs. They're so cute. Lab sciences and Spanish. Really? Why has Spanish been a hard one? Is that because it's hard to, you know, like they're not getting the instruction and hearing it? I feel like that is one field where there is a lot of resources for it, but it probably depends on like what they need in order to do their job. And, you know, it's not like you can just say, hey, go download this app, because, you know, that could cost. Oh my gosh, Sandy. Yeah, that's exactly, like, I hear of those people that are teachers and doing their own kids. I'm like, oof. That's a big oof. The one thing I say to my sister is, you know what, the thing is, all the kids are in the same boat. They may all get behind, but they're all behind together, you know? I think that that's the one thing that's unifying us. Did I already do all those? Oh, okay. Yeah, lab sciences. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, Sydney. Yeah, I mean, I've met a few teachers where I'm like, I feel like even just boldly saying, you know, I don't think you like kids anymore. You know? If you don't like kids anymore, you know, maybe, I don't know. Okay, I should have probably ironed those again. I confused myself. All right, you can see my, this is kind of nice. You can see it, right? Helping them most of the time, yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many variables, right? There's how someone teaches and how someone learns. And sometimes those are already not very compatible in the classroom. So then you have to add this whole other, like, something new, where most of us don't really take change very well. Yeah. I feel for everybody. All right, so there we go. One. So now I'm just enclosing that seam I made here. Keep this face up because it's nice to be able to see it, isn't it? I should have ironed this again on the edge. You know me, I always do, and I just kind of didn't. I don't know why. But this is very lightweight and very pliable, so it's going really easily. Other fabrics are not going to go as easily like this. I would have had to go back to the iron and iron it on the edge there. I always press the seam one direction first because it makes it a lot easier to then press it on the edge. Trying to finish strong up there, you know, like get that perpendicular. Eliza, exactly. Yeah, Sandy, that's, yeah, true. Wow. Remember, like, how long ago do you feel like we all started getting commercials, and it was like this like idyllic future where everything was online and people could learn from all over the world in a university anywhere, and all the books in the world were online. And do you guys remember those commercials? Kind of type of like vibe we were getting. I don't really feel like we're kind of there, but not really. Like, look what it took, you know? But at the same time, like, that was a long time ago. Yeah, right, Eliza? Yeah, and I think about this as from a business perspective. You know, I think about a lot of things as a business perspective. Just because, and I'm just going to qualify this, like, I am not trained in business. I've just owned a few, and I know what works for me and what doesn't work, you know? And I also know that even if you're not making money or a profit, it doesn't mean you're not a good business person, because there's a lot of factors to consider. But I've been looking at this whole thing and going, how... Like, it's okay if you want to be like, all right, we're going to throw all our resources at distance learning. And then what if the world's back to normal in September and we never use those resources again? It would be really hard to throw all your resources towards resources right now when you don't know if you're going to use them again. So then you kind of go, okay, maybe I find like the middle of the road resources. We'll invest a little bit, but we won't invest the whole shebang because maybe we're never going to use these again. I feel like that's kind of what people are kind of having to do, you know? So, all right, so now we have our pockets here clean, finished. Now we're going to put our skirts together. The side seams there. I'm going to do wrong sides together. Yeah, I know how to do this. Yeah, right, Eliza? Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, I think if we had people more focused on making this a sustainable new paradigm, and I mean people like in government and stuff, we could probably figure this out, you know? But I don't really feel that, and that's what makes it hard. There's not a lot of support for those folks. There's not a lot of support for people to, you know, get the support they need to make this the new normal. You know, and poor universities, you know, who need the money to run, and they're going to be like, okay, now we have to put all our money towards online courses, but we still need to make the same amount of money that we're already charging kids because of all the stuff we spend money on, and now we need to spend money on these other things. It's a wacky world. We're talking way too much about this. Tell me what you guys are sewing. I want to know that. We never talk about stuff like this. Not for this long. Tell me what you guys are sewing and what you guys are doing. Anyone buy any new patterns lately? Because remember, I bought a bunch of patterns. All right, so when I get to this little spot right here, I'm going to come around my pocket, and I'm going to go just past this seam right here. and pivot and come down. And then I'm going to try and get to that 1/4 inch seam allowance I've been using to make my French seam. But, you know, in here I'm going to, I should have probably pressed these. It would be a lot easier. I'm going to press all these seams towards the pocket. I'm going to stack these seams right on top of each other. Just like that. I'm going to try and get this thread towards the seam allowance too there. Just past that little seam there. I'm probably gonna set myself up better to make that easier. And come down to my 1/4 inch seam. Oof, my side seams aren't matching. I think that's because I monkeyed around with things so much. Go. So see, like that. Planning on sewing a swimsuit. The free range or the Pietra? Surgical caps. I was thinking about doing a tutorial on that free Jale patterns for the scrub top. Yay, Ray. Well, you got your garden, Ray. That sounds pretty good. You're saving up for a new sewing machine. Oh, no, your old one died. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Claire. Oh, there's a jacket called Artemis. I love it. Patty, you're making, okay, binding for linen napkins. We need to talk about this. Oh, Barbara. So is that did you get the kit? Was that you who got the speckled fabric kit? Oh, and the Greer jumpsuit. That's the one by Hey June, right? That looks cute. Oh no, Sandy, really? That's a bummer. Luna loungewear from Love Notions Cameo Night and Switch. Oh, ooh, sounds nice. The Artemis jacket. I love anything named Artemis. All right, I'm gonna trim this down. I actually got my rotary mat out to do this over there, but I'm just gonna sit. Kind of been that kind of a few days. Clip right up in there and then trim this all down. Let me make this look as awkward as possible for you guys. So then you can go, wow, I can do that better than that. Does anyone else hate cutting this kind of lining? It makes me want to glue it. Oh my gosh. Don't look. It's bad. Oh my gosh. I feel like I hear you sometimes when you guys are sewing going, don't look. All right, that'll be fine. All right, let's do the other one. Yeah, okay, let's talk about napkins because I was sitting there at the table yesterday eating some crackers. And I had put a pile of napkins I needed to fold and put in the drawer. I was kind of hoping they would get done, you know, sat there. And so I sat there going, oh, I'll just fold these while I'm sitting here. And for the millionth time, I was marveling over why some of the hems crumple and your napkins are in this ugly mess and you're kind of folding them to put in the drawer when really you're just kind of like, okay, here, you know. And then there's others that are fine. And I'm just like, it's definitely a sewing experiment I would like to delve into. I've Googled it, I've looked for information. I don't really get anything clear. So binding is great, except I've done that too. And then sometimes the binding will shrink a little bit more and it draws it in. Or the binding itself kind of makes it pucker, you know? Oh, Rosie the Riveter overall. That's cute. Janome, nice. The Ardens. I'm trying to remember those, Tanya. I think it's a rayon Bemberg, the lining. Oh, cool. As you made more of those Sunday V's. That's cute. Yeah, Sydney, exactly. Yeah, I've had things like that too. Oh, yeah, Helen's Closet. Okay. It's pocket, right? Exactly. I think I said early on when I first started streaming, you won't see me do fancy clothing on here. It's just not my strong suit. And it's mainly because I just don't like dealing with the fabrics. I don't like touching them. I don't like cutting them. I don't like handling them. And so because I don't really like the fabrics involved, I've never really honed my skills on them. And I've made some of those things, you know, like plenty of them. They look great. They turned out fine. I actually think I do okay with it, but I just don't enjoy the fabric. So it's just one of those things where I was honest. You won't see me doing fancy dress here. That sew frosting challenge, I'm like, oh, okay, you guys have fun. I will see you on the other side of that. Because sew frosting for me is maybe adding piping to my pajamas, you know? And I wouldn't even call it piping. Oh my gosh, why are these so far off? Look at that. So Megan, what are you going to do with your hedgehogs? You're looking for a top? What about like the mellow low? Something that doesn't have a lot of seams, you know? Ah, so you're binding facing the hems, not like binding it surrounding like this. You're more like binding it under. Yeah, right, Eva? I know. I think serging. So I had a friend who wasn't really a sewist. She worked at the factory with me, but she just wasn't a sewist, you know. She was kind of dabbling in it, and she made napkins for everybody for Christmas one year there, which was a huge feat because there were a lot of people. And hers they never crumple. And I don't know what it is about her napkins. The fabric isn't very napkin material-ish, and I have a suspicion that they're partly polyester, and maybe that was part of it. I don't know. Love them forever. That's right. I really just made this dress so I have an excuse to use that little hedgehog emoji. That I always joked when I had really, really short hair, because I think I told you guys I have really short hair once, and twice actually. I liked having short hair, except that it's so much work. I don't know how you guys do it. It's so much friggin' work, and I look like a crazy person when I wake up in the morning. And my hair, it's not particularly thick, but it's coarse and kind of frizzy. And when it was short like that, it was a frickin' hedgehog. Like, my hair felt like a hedgehog. It was so sharp, you know, it was so pokey and sharp that even I would be like, ow, like when I was sleeping and stuff, you know. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think of. Okay, so wait, did I get all that? Yeah, I'll trim that a little bit more right there. I'll clip into my thing there. Look, this stuff just starts unraveling all immediately. All right, let's iron this. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? Let me read, catch up. Nope. Yeah, right, Patty? Totally. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I'll press this one direction before. Can you see all the little needle holes in this double gauze on this camera maybe? I've never really seen that on other double gauzes because I've always had, I haven't had very many of them and they were dark in color. I already forgot to put that on its edge just like I did on the pocket, didn't I? There. Where's my water? Oh, no, don't. Yeah. I felt like my dress was about to go in the water. A barn. Eliza. You know, I feel like that kind of silhouette, it's almost like you have to have a shorter top. And I don't know about you, but I'm not very okay with short tops, you know? So I use my Mellow Low with my Tanya culottes because it actually kind of works. The Mellow Low isn't necessarily short, but it has that like swoop on the side. And I think that that is really what makes it, it kind of softens that square silhouette you're talking about. That's why you'll see me always wear the white Mellow Low I have with those really colorful pink, like, isn't it like flamingos on it? No, toucans. There's toucans on there. Because I feel like it softens that kind of square shape, because the Mellow Low does that little swoop like this on the hem, and on the side it actually goes way up high, and so it kind of does this. So here's the culottes, and then it swoops down a little bit, and so it kind of breaks it up, you know. All right, let's work this through the fingers. This is always a really awkward spot right here, and you might get a little like weirdness, but it's okay. It's in your pocket. It's gonna be fine. And because I went kind of just inside my seam, it'll pull the pocket seam into the pocket area, and it'll make it look a little more seamless on the outside. Struggling a little bit here. What is going on right there? I mean, it looks worse than it is. This would be a lot easier if I had done, I just don't want to iron anything else, but if I had like pressed this edge one way first, or even pressed it open, then it would want to do this much easier. which one's the cielo? I ask you guys this every time, and it's only because I get confused because I made the cielo wrap dress, you know? Kind of like this waviness I'm getting, so I'm going to kind of try and calm that down a little bit. Especially this weirdness right here. This is terrible. Look at that. Oh my God. I could have done that a little better. I could have set myself up better. Let's just get it all nice and flat. Right, and I'm also gonna press these seams towards the pocket. Short tops need high-waisted pants. Yes. Yeah. Bye, Karen. Ooh, I hope your machine has a nice time. What a lucky duck. Alright, so this one's pretty much ready. We'll sew this whole seam here. Let's get this pressed a little nicer. I want you to believe in my ability here. I want to believe in my ability too. Let's see, so I'll go down this side too. It's a lot of skirt, you guys. Okay. That looks pretty good, actually. Oh, no, is that in the water glass? Oh, well. Okay. Other side, but let's, this time, set this pocket up a little bit better. And I just like to do it like this. I just kind of open it up. And I just stick my iron in the pocket as if, you know, best I can. Just quickly, a little bit there. And let's do this side right here. Yeah, you know, Sydney, I like that kind of thing too. I feel like that is also a really great way for me to like cover up my blurple, you know? And I did that to that Lucerne top, the Hey June handmade Lucerne top. So there's little ties on the sleeves and I imitated it on the waist. It was really easy to do. Pretty sure I showed how I did it in my video too. So you could maybe do that technique on whatever top you find, you know? The Lucerne top by Hey June Handmade. And I love that top. I don't wear it very much because when I pre-washed that fabric, somehow it got like dingy looking. So I always think it looks dingy, but I still love that top. Plus, it's rayon, so it needs a little ironing, and sometimes I just don't, you know. I wear a lot of dresses. But, yeah, so it has a side tie. And then that way, yeah, it doesn't need to be tucked in. And it's so comfortable all day long. None of my bumps show. And it gives me a shape. because it's cinched at my hips, but not very tight. I don't know. Lucerne top. You can check it out. I'm sure there's pictures of it. There we go. On my website. Oh boy. Let's drop that on the ground. Alright, we're almost done here. And then we can sew this. Yeah, hides the midsection bit. Yeah, like it doesn't, it's not like it's cinching in like at the waist, but it still gives you a waist. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've actually thought maybe I would make more of that top. And you know, I think that new Friday Pattern Company top with the little ruffle right there, I think that top would be really cute with a waist tie like that, you know? And I already thought like, oh, I think I'm going to add that waist tie to that. I got that pattern too, so you'll probably see me sew it at some point. All right, so I'm just going to go around the perimeter now of my pocket and side seam. Smooth out all my little bumpily bumps. Let's get this side seam ready to go here. Wish I had my Wonder Clips. I keep leaving them at home to do that mini block series, you know. Yeah, the Lucerne's really cute. And it's wovens, which is nice too, you know. All right, stack those seams on top of each other. When in doubt, open it up like this, and then just literally stack the seam on top of the other one like that. I'm gonna go just behind that stitching there. Like a stitch. That. Why does my machine sound so funny? There we go. And then I'm going to stitch down. Make sure that this isn't uneven right here because there's a little slight bias, so it can get a little stretched out. So make sure this is still really flat. Line up these seams, stack them right on top of each other, and then stitch down to the marking, and I'm going to stitch down about 1.25 inches. Just to the left of that. I'm going to kind of do that. Well, yeah, I'm going to do that a little bit here too. A little bit more. I think it actually goes up higher. Let me see. Let's see how it looks. So here's my first one. And then once it's pressed, you'll see it's all invisible there. But I think, yeah, I think I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher. You don't want your opening too big. Things will fall out, you know? I'm pretty sure there's a mark for that. But here's my hand. So, yeah. Oh, look at it. Maybe she says the measurement. I don't have the pattern handy. It's notches. Oh. Didn't I have my pocket pattern? Is there notches still on it? Yeah. Here we go. So it's at the top. I need to come down to there. And then that one's spot on. Okay, great. stack those seams though. All right, one down. Then we're gonna do our button band after this. I got my new glasses today, which is so nice. My first time having progressives and I don't even notice anything. I was really worried. I felt like people really kind of scared me. Like, not really other people, but like the way like doctors talk about them. They're like, okay, it can be a period of an adjustment and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, when I got them, I was like, oh, this is so much easier than bifocals. Alright, so like I said, I kind of open it up here. I see my seams there, and I just stack them right on top of each other, just like that. Do you guys hear that? It's like, it like clicks occasionally. Interfacing. Mine barely needs ironing there. I think you might look at how I sewed those. I don't remember how I sewed that. If I used a serger or French seams. If I used French seams, I probably hemmed the edge of the facing. But yeah, I don't have problems with that. Using good interfacing helps a lot. It's a good question. Yeah, the thing I have to iron on that top is the little ties. Because what I did on mine was I interfaced the band up to where they meet together, and then I left the tie uninterfaced so that it wouldn't be this stiff, weird things poking out, you know? And it worked a charm. It just means I need to iron the tie ends. You just put this little stitch right here. It doesn't matter that is away from the seam right there. Mine looks a little wobbly, but I'm gonna shade it a little bit so you can see the stitching a little bit. Because this right here, so look at that right there. You see how there's stitching to the left of the seam right here, and then this is my like pocket side seam when I went all the way around. So then when you see it here, it doesn't matter, right? It's just a straight line. You're trying to get a straight line from your top to your bottom. And then once it's all pressed, it's pretty much invisible, you know? And see, that's how it looks on the inside, is that it's a little bit further away right there, and that's okay. It's kind of tucked in there. Mine's not as precise as it could have been, but double guys and Ram Bimberg, give me a break. All right, so let's see here. Now we have our skirt. So now we can put our skirt to the bodice. Yeah, you can do that. You can stitch them down if that's the look you're going for. And the other thing, Sydney, is you can play around with putting the facings on the outside of the garment, you know, and stitching them down, like turning under the edge and stitching them down. You can even make this facings in a seam, like put a seam there. There's a lot of customizations you can do that kind of make it less of a faced neckline. You could also like bias finish the edge, but I feel like that has more issues than none. So, yeah. Top stitching as a crutch is my middle name. All right, so I'm gonna do wrong sides together here. So I'm gonna do a French seam, and I obviously have a lot of, wait, actually, let's prepare this edge better. So I'm gonna press my pockets towards the front. This is why I love it when pockets go all the way to the waist, because then you get to catch them in the waist seam. And this may not seem like a big deal until you've had that one garment where they weren't pressed towards the front and your pockets were always going to the back of your garment, you know? So yeah. So with a French seam, French seam inseam pocket, you need to press your seams towards the front, which is kind of counter to what you're used to. Normally you'd like clip it, and you could press it towards the back below the pocket, but can't really do that. All right, so here's my other one right here. I'm not going to stay stitch my waist, but you could. The only reason I'm not going to is because I've stitched down my pleats in so many places that it's mostly now stay stitched. And this kind of just finishes it off. Alright. I have a really big messy edge. I didn't allow to do French seams on my seam allowances, so I may end up losing a little bit. I was thinking about doing like a, what the heck am I doing here? A flat felled type of thing, but I'm just going to do a French seam. Mainly because I think that's the look I want, but wait a minute. What if I did this? Wait, this is my bodice. And then I hemmed it onto the top like that. What's an idea? I could do that. I could flat fell it. It's gonna be kind of weird. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, Sydney. Could you stitch it down now? I feel like double gauze kind of lends itself to that. Like I have one of the dress I wear that's double gauze. The rumple look about it works. So I feel like you get away with stitching down a facing on double gauze. And even though you might see some like little bit of gentle wrinkles in there, it would look fine because it's double gauze. All right, so this is my bodice right here. This is my skirt. So what if I did this? I did my flat fell like this and then stitched it down like that. So I'd have an edge stitch here and a seam there. What do I think of that? It would be interesting. If I do it the other way, like this, and then I stitch down like this, I'm doing it, I'd have a top stitch here. That would probably look more traditional. Huh. I also think it might be too thick because of all the pleats and stuff. Maybe I'll stick to the French seam. It might be easier though, because of the thicknesses, to do a flat fell. What do you guys think? Up or down? So if I go down, you'd see a fold edge with edge stitching and then just stitching right here. This is the bodice. Or the reverse. Go up or down. Hello, Anne. Welcome. Which, this way, Patty? Like the way I'm holding it now? These hedgehogs are so cute. Why am I so orange? So this is the Rita shirt dress, and this is that dress I made, I wanted to make a shirt out of, and so the other way, Down like this. This is down. This is up. Yeah, I think you're right. Frank Claire's all, no, French seams. My worry with the French seam, Claire, is that everything here is so thick. I have the pleats, the pockets, the French seams. It's possible, no problem, but not no problem, but it's possible. I'm kind of intrigued by the flat felling. Yeah, so this is I made a floral shirt version of this dress, and it instantly looked like a pajama top. So that's why I ended up making matching Caroline pajama bottoms with it. So, yeah, I think that the reason I like this flat fell idea is that what I like about flat fell seams is that the seam is flat on the body. I'd never have to iron it. And French seams, I'd have I'd have this, you know? So I'm going to try it. All right, so let's just first do the seam. So if I'm going down like this, I'm going to try and compensate for my seam allowance loss and sew it so that I'm a little shy. You know, I've lined this as well, so there's just there's a lot going on. I think I'm gonna do that. Let me do it in a little. You understand, Claire? Is all I understand. Thanks, Claire. Okay, so if I do that seam there, and then I have that, and then I turn it under like this. That would work. Okay. My stay stitching on my waist is a little generous. I'm gonna do this at 1/4 of an inch to my skirt edge. Like this is a 1/4 inch seam and this is a 1/2 inch seam right now. I may have to take out some stitching. All right, let's see where we're at here. This is the side seam that's going forward. This one's going back. I'm gonna just pin some of my landmarks here. The center is this one here. There. And the side seam. Bodice to the back, skirt to the front. Alright, so those are my landmarks. Alright, let's do this. That way I can see if I need to ease. Look at that. I think I lost a little with that. Bodice sewing. We're in try hard mode now. Why am I having to ease this in? I actually triple checked this. I'm gonna back this off a little bit. I triple checked this so I knew it would sew together. I got a little spooked after the button band thing. I was like, oh, I better check things. Good to know I'm gonna have to deal with something if it's a big thing. I got a little confused on my seam allowance right here, so I'm gonna fix it. You know? Alright. Back on track. I have a little bit extra here. I'm not sure what's going on. think my bodice just gets a little bit smaller when I do all those French seams. Oof. I feel like I need to make that pleat bigger. Look at that. It's a little bit much. Can I do it? Can I ease that in there? I could, but I think it'd be better just to make the pleat bigger. Because that way I don't have to try and hem over something so big. So let me just make this pleat a tiny bit bigger. No one will ever know except you guys, and I know you would never tell on me. I have to take out the stitching because otherwise the pleat won't open up flat. It's really hard to grab stitches on the double, guys. That's why I'm always struggling, sorry. It's like, eek. Okay. All right. So, Megan, I started that book. My sister and I are doing a read along. I didn't totally stay stitch the top of the skirt because I had stay stitched so much of the pleats down. Like I opened up the pleats and that left like small gaps there. But on the top, I didn't at all because it's lined. But I would stay stitch it if you feel like that would help, for sure. You don't ever have to apologize for just jumping in. Right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, why not? Just put it in the pleat. If this was a gathered skirt, you'd be gathering it up more, right? So it's not going to hurt anything. So, and now we can see exactly what we need, right? So just make sure you center it. I'm just kind of getting an eye for it. I think I can do it 1/4 of an inch on each side now. So I'm just going to I just walk it like this, smush it together, and see where the notches, how far away they are. Yeah, so I think like 1/4 of an inch more would be enough. All right. I didn't start sewing on that notch very well either. We'll fix that too. I'm cheating by not taking apart more. So I'm having to pull my dress through a little bit here so that I can get a nice flat spot. All right, let's make it bigger, not smaller. I'll just go parallel to that stitching, but I'm gonna try and get that stitching lined right up on top of the other one so that I know I'm actually making it the same and smaller. It wants to wiggle around. Imagine that. All right, now we're back in business. Stopping to fix things, I know it's such a pain, but once you do, you're like, oh, now it's going to be easy, you know? Right? Well, you know, and I adjusted the sizing so much that I know that some of my lines probably could match up a little better than they are. I noticed that on the princess seams of the shoulder. I swear we checked those, but when I went to sew them together, I was like, huh, these don't quite match up, you know? Sometimes you just have to let go of some of those things, and then they'll sort themselves out in a little bit later. You can kind of smooth out the rough bits. Princess seams at the shoulders, that's kind of annoying that it doesn't match, in my opinion. Oh, this is the problem. I keep trying to line up this edge, and I don't want to line up this edge. I actually really want to try and not line up this edge. And I keep doing it out of habit. Sorry. I've never flat felled a waist seam. I feel like I have once, which is weird. But I think I did it in a way that I wasn't intending to do a flat felled seam. I did it out of desperation for whatever I was working on. It was probably my friend's wedding dress in see-through fabric. I think that's when I did this. You know, and I was just trying to make sure that the edges were all clean, finished, but I didn't have much to spare. All right, let's see here. My gauze is getting very angry with me. Do you see that? It's like shredding right there. Okay. Okay. My pocket and my pleat are bumping up against each other. I should have stitched my pleat now. I really wish, I hope my top is okay. I just got this like feeling just now. I'm so focused on my skirt. I hope I didn't just fold the, okay. Okay, there we go. All right, that's my side back. So I'm gonna press that seam towards the center back. My little stay stitching on the pleats is a little confusing for me. I really want to enclose it, but I'm not worried about it because when I go to do the final flat fell of the seam, I can cover it up. And I just keep reassuring myself with that. The bodice is very, how would I put it? I don't want to say rigid. I just mean it's very static, meaning it has no stretch or anything in it. Because of this lining, it's very much stabilized. And that's partly why I'm struggling right now with this, because the skirt is not. It's very fluffy. Oh, here I am again. Which one was it that I needed to increase the pleat on? Which one was it? I think I need to do it again right there. This one's fine. Look at this. My pleats are a little asymmetrical. Don't judge. I could have probably stay stitched the skirt, like just did one long stay stitch and even kind of pulled it a little bit, you know, like you do when you ease a sleeve, but I didn't want to cheat that badly. Also, I think that would have had negative repercussions later on when it was like laundered and being worn, you know. Oh, it is a hedgehog, right? You just made me doubt. You know, maybe they are porcupines. I think it was called hedgehogs. The things we'll do, right? We still have the button band. I think I said I was doing that next, but I need to do the bodice first to the skirt. All those future people are stoked they can fast forward. Okay, let's see here. There's nothing like trying to keep your seam ripping under the camera, you know? Alright, so now I'm just gonna see how much do I, look at how much that pleat is. It's big. Very big. So, you know, ideally it would, you know, been good to probably distribute some of this that's so off. Where'd that snip go? What the heck? But the pleats are so full, I really don't think it's going to make a big difference. Where'd my snips go? There, right there. Oh, I didn't get a snip on that one. That's why. Wow, okay. Fine. Where did they sew together? Right there. Okay. Try and keep it centered. Like that. You know, even easier way. Cinch this together and then fold it like this. Like that. And now you have the spot. Hedgehogs. Alrighty. Pull out my skirt a little bit. Still do a nice parallel line. Alright. I love it when I can get it under the machine. And now the machine helps me hold it. Get my stitching, my original stitching line stacked right on top. Don't let that fall out. Mine just fell out. Yeah, there we go. Phew. Okay. I've seen a porcupine in person one time, and I was so shocked. I actually thought, like, I didn't think something was wrong with it, but I thought it was there at the animal rescue place because it was not supposed to be that size. It's like the size of a pig. I had no idea, you guys. I thought porcupines were like this big. Like literally like a sugar bag, you know? And I just sat there staring at it like, and looking around at people like, I was so shocked. I just was like, wait a minute, is this really how big they are? And isn't everybody else around me like, whoa, I've never seen a big porcupine like that before. You know, and it's because I'd never seen one next to anything else. I'd only seen them in cartoons and nature shows, but I'd never seen them like in relation to something else. Oh my gosh. The whole thing was, and I remember going to my husband, I was like, and it was either blind or deaf, and it was very old, and so that's why it was at this living desert museum. And so I was like to my husband, like, is that a really big porcupine? And he was like, yeah. I was like, no, like, you know, is it really supposed to be that big? I felt so silly. I felt like the city person. And I mean, I definitely grew up. I mean, I grew up on the block next to Disneyland, you guys. So there's that. But I, you know, porcupine. They're big and they're stinky. Like musky. That kind of stinky. I don't like that kind of stinky. Goats have ruined me. What is this right here? Is this my side seam? Yeah, so it's going forward, you're going back. Okay, got it. Just making sure we're all on the same page here. Oh, I'm pulling something apart. I feel it. Am I not? Oh, that was weird. Oh, I'm feeling it drag across the feed dog. I thought I felt the seam popping. I'm struggling a little bit. There we go. It's been, you know, four or 5 days since I sewed, and I've just lost all my skills. You know how it goes, right? That's what I'm blaming it on. I enjoyed sewing that rainbow, that jelly roll rainbow thing. It was pretty fun. I want to finish it. I saw someone finish theirs, and it looked so good, like with all the quilting in the back. I want mine. I want to do mine now. All right, I made it. We all survived. If you're still here, you survived. We're not done yet, though. Okay, so now I'm going to trim this one a little bit. But not really much because I'm going to be able to flat fell it over. Doesn't it sometimes feel like a lie when you see something like this? Like when you see like when you see what goes into making anything, and you see kind of the guts, and you just think, oh my gosh, they're lying to me. Look at how gross that is. They're cheating. When I was kind of, you know, getting better and better, like sewing in, you know, my 20s, and, you know, we didn't have the Google, and I was relying mostly on Threads magazines and other sewists, and, you know, the few books there were, mostly the books I saw were on quilting, and, I don't know, I just, there was this like pervasive feeling that your work had to look beautiful all the time, like even the guts of it, you know, like, and there's definitely, we still see that it should look as beautiful on the inside as the outside. Well, that's a bunch of crap in my opinion. I mean, you know, as long as it's not going to fall apart and you feel secure in it, I think that that's okay if you're learning to make your clothes, you know. And you know, if you're buying it from a store, there was a time, like there's trends, right? So there's this trend of wanting to look like store-bought. I'll say that like that in the 90s when you were a sewist, you really wanted your stuff to look like it was bought in a store. And now I feel like it's the opposite. People are like, store-bought's junk. I don't want my stuff looking store-bought. I want it to look better. And so it's just trends in how we talk and think about sewing. And I think you just got to figure out what you like, what you want, what you're comfortable with, you know, and just do that. Because you can get kind of lost in that whole pressure to like make it look a certain way, you know. I dare someone to walk up to you and say, that seam's not matched very well. You know, would you do that? And you'd go, whack. No chocolate for you. I'm just kind of trimming a lot of these threads to make it a little easier to decide where. So now I need this. Oh, I forgot that seam needs to look nice. You guys. Okay, this looks okay. This does not look okay. This is where I felt the pop stitches, and now I see them. This seam has to look good. I forgot. It's going to be, you know, seen, you know? Oh, bye, Eliza. Yeah, like I totally got that, Barbara. There was this whole thing, you know, and I think it was just because of some of the sewing folks I was near talking about that. I think there's definitely, when you're around, when you're younger and you're around people that are a lot older than you who sew, or teaching you something, some of them can be a little bit snobby about it. And it's more like, well, you wouldn't accept anything less than that, you know? And at the time, I'm like, look, I'll just accept for being done and not crying while I sew it. I mean, that's kind of what my idea of success was for a while there, you know? See, this seam right here that I'm doing, it actually has to look really nice because it's going to be exposed. When I go like this and hem this over it, you're going to see that seam. I'm going to do it one more time. Sorry, guys. Feel free to go. Like this right here, this whole seam right here, I don't like this. Now that I have this attached, I think I'm going to do the whole thing and then just remove my old one. You know what I mean? You're older, Barbara. You know what I mean though, Barbara. Like when I was younger, I don't think you would do that, but you know, there's those folks that just like to be that way with you. And they put that, like, it's almost like they're trying to tell you you're not doing good enough by saying it needs to look this way, you know? And that's not everybody. Like, obviously I came across lots of people that were really supportive and encouraging and, you know, thought, hey, you're doing, keep it up, you know, you're going to get there, you know? And I think that's really what kept me going on. I'm not going to worry about that. And now I'm older. I definitely catch myself like making sure I tell someone about their successes. Like, it's not my job to figure out what they don't like. You know? Yeah. That's so nice, Barbara. Your mom taught you. My mom didn't. I think she was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to let the teachers teach you, you know, when I was in high school. I think, you know, that was very prudent. You know, there was a few times she tried to help me. And her method was a little different than the teachers and a little different than mine. And she was my mom, you know. Oh, yeah, unpicking is fine, yeah. Well, and ready-to-wear clothes now have changed a lot. They were actually pretty good for a while, you know. And then we all wanted it to look like ready-to-wear in that, oh, with the serger and stuff like that. I think it's just trends. Trends and, you know, what we want change and what we're willing to put into it. I definitely look back on things and go, Sammy, you could have done a way better job on that, you know. But then I try and be nice to myself and go, how were you feeling at the time? What were you thinking at the time? You know, because there's a chance that if I kind of remember what was going on at the time or what my struggle was, I will kind of be nicer to myself. So there's that. All right, I really don't want to catch my double gauze. Because it'll make a run. All right, this might take me a few minutes. Feel free to fast forward. I mean, all of you guys are stuck here, sorry. But you guys can tell me a story. Right, Sandy? Yeah, we really are. I just made my seam allowance much bigger because I figure between the notches I've put in and stuff, I'm going to have to allow for a little bit of loss. I did not set this up for a flat felled seam. It's an experiment. This honestly, this is a good example of if you have a dress you're making in like a fully see-through fabric, you know, like a organza or chiffon or something. Like I see a lot of folks make the Wilder gown out of the sheer fabrics and stuff. And if you need a way to do some of the seam finishes because it's see-through, the flat felling is a really great and easier way to sometimes do it. So it's a good option. And, you know, when you get to the waist seams are not, you know, you sometimes are like, I'm on a French seam, and then you're like, oh, I forgot I have set-in sleeves and waist seam. I really want this, I saw this poppies on linen. It's a Japanese print. Really want it. They had it at Stone Mountain and Daughter, and I went to order it and it was already gone. Like, dang it, why did you announce it? I mean, I wouldn't have known about it if they hadn't, you know? But I really want that the Blanca jumpsuit in that poppy print. I can't stop thinking about it. Now that I've done Hedgehogs, I can do whatever I want, right? Oh, right, Sandy. God, satin. Ugh. Yeah. It's snowing? My God. I think you guys just got the storm that rolled through here. It was so exciting, like the thunder and lightning. Hey, I have a question for you guys. Does anyone live where lightning strikes a beach or a sandy area and you find those glass things? Has anyone ever seen one of those in real life? I was telling a friend of mine about him, and he lives in Canada, and he had never heard of them. And then he had to look them up, and he was like, whoa. Because he said he was on the lake with his friends, and that there was like all this thunder and lightning, and I was like, ooh, you should look out for those things. I know they exist, but I've never seen one in person. Oh, cottonwood. I thought you meant it would look like cottonwood, but you're saying it's actually, yeah. It's like when the cherry blossoms do that. I love that. I need to get back on my mini blocks. You know what I'm finding why I'm not motivated to finish? I'm not motivated. I'm not like, it's the thing to do with them. They don't all go together very well, in my opinion. They're very much individual little creatures, you know? Which is fine. I was actually originally like, I think I'll just like hang these up, you know? But then it kind of makes me go, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing the fabric choices I'm doing, and maybe I should be more loose with myself. But then I'm like, yeah, but then you're going to spend all this time picking fabrics when you don't really need to do that. It's this trial, you know? And then I just whip out that jelly roll, you know, quilt. This one, yeah, I need to get rid of this. I don't even have a use for that. But I want it. Because rainbows. Okay. I don't like taking out stitches in cream thread on cream gauze. Add that to my list of things I don't like. You guys are so good. You're so patient. So the rest of the week, if I stream, because I am feeling a little like, do I need to stream? I will do stuff on my Beatrice because I really want to. And probably first just do myself a basic block. So I'm going to drape that. And then, ooh, I thought I cut that. Oof. See, these stitches are looking a little tired. I gotta be really careful. This is going to be exposed. Yeah, I just really want to kind of, I want to use my dress form. Oh, I'm almost done. We're almost there, you guys. Note to self, when you're doing a flat felled seam, don't forget the first stitch shows. Claire was right. We should have done French seam and I wouldn't have to worry about this. The flat fell seam sits on the outside of the garment, whereas a French seam sits on the inside. It's a more concise way to illustrate the difference. And the flat fell is also flat and stitched to the garment, whereas the French seam hangs loose, just like a regular seam would. All right, almost there. So, you guys, how anyone making their ideal bag? I'm so glad I got that done before I fell sick. I think I'm going to do a basic block first, Patty, but I'm going to do it into a block that's actually something I would wear. I think that's one thing, like when we did the block little, you know, when I helped you guys draft your own block last winter or fall, I think. I think one thing that makes those a challenge to fit is they don't fit really like comfortably, right? So you got to kind of get it to a point where you can try it on the best you can because it's pretty like close. And then you make it immediately into a block that is something like you can almost wear. That way it's a little easier to work on. All right, let's just iron this. I just want to give it a once over. Which one, Eva? You have the flight suit, the Blancas thingy? Oh, you mean the ideal bag. Sorry. All right, so it's going to go down. We're going to hem this right over the edge like that. Get rid of all that. Looking so cute. All right. What's that? Alright, so let's trim up a little bit of that. Which one's SF101? Is that like just an interfacing? If you're using a canvas with a lining, it's probably fine. Maybe what you could do is you could like take your fabric, your canvas, and your lining together and kind of just hold it and feel like how that would feel as a bag. That sometimes helps me decide. Also, don't forget there's so many pockets. That offers a lot of stability. You may not need that interfacing. This part always makes me a little nervous, like it should. I'm just going to trim down this edge a little bit. Has anyone watched that sewing video? Am I ridiculously enthusiastic or what? I think it's because I first started it, and when I had made a mistake, and when I watched it back, I was like, wow, this is so boring. I shouldn't be doing this on my wool mat. It'll just be a nightmare later. Clean it up. Woven fusible. Oh. Yeah, was I, Patty? That's so funny. I was pretty excited though. I was kind of like excited that I'd figured out a new way to record a video by doing it in like little chapters. I was so much like not so worried someone would walk into my office, or they would all of a sudden decide to start singing ballads out there, or turn on the weed whacker, and I was like, oh, this is so much easier just doing a little chunk and then stitching it together. Maybe I should do a part 3 sewing since I'm taking so long. Probably should, huh? Yeah, I'll probably do that. I really want to get to the draping, but I feel like today went pretty good. I feel pretty good. I can handle streaming tomorrow. I wanted to make sure I finished this dress, and then give myself the option to not stream the rest of the week just in case I was a little too fatigued afterward. It was a rough few days, you guys. I am not gonna lie. All right. What a mess. Yeah, Tanya, that is really tough. Yeah, sometimes some of the fabric companies are really good about suggesting what you could make in it. And that has definitely helped me decide not to buy something or to buy something. Because, like, especially Hearts fabric, they definitely will say, this would be ideal for bottom weights, bags, and similar things like that. And then sometimes they'll even say, like, these 2 patterns. And I've sewn enough to be like, oh, okay. Like, you would make jeans in that, but you wouldn't make a dress in that. Because there were a few things I almost bought, and I was like, oh, they are not saying I can make a dress in this. And so I didn't buy it, So I think that that's really helpful. And if you have the ability to get a swatch, sometimes that can be helpful as well, Oh, good, Patty. I'm glad. Yeah. All right. So let's just hope that I can sew this in a nice, consistent line, because we know how I am. That nice and consistent isn't really my forte. All right. Let's see here. But you could, make this a little easier for yourself by ironing it, pressing it under, pinning it. I'm honestly not going for drama, but you never know. Make sure everything is pulled apart as well. Look at how nice that looks. I'm glad we're doing this. It's going to be a nice flat waist seam, which makes me pretty happy. I don't like ironing waist seams. Why am I? Oh, okay. I was like, what am I feeling under there? What am I feeling under there? Oh, it's my pocket inside of my pleat. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Just flatten it out. I didn't take the time to trim all those threads, mainly because I feel like this is a pretty gushy seam, and it's very it'll conceal all that in there. And I'm kind of wanting to get this gauze secure right now because it's getting a little too thready, and I'm a little worried that I may end up running out of a seam allowance. And it feels like even if I trim it, it comes right back. So that's another reason just to get going on it. There's a lot of other fabrics that are going to be more stable than this. It's very thick right there. Yeah, this looks good. Look at that. You can see how gushy the gauze is. It looks like it tends to get a little uneven easier, and it doesn't look as straight. I mean, we know that I could be doing better, right? But it's coming along nicely anyway. Looks good. This one right here is a little funny. Get under there. I like that I can kind of grab the fabric with the awl like this and push it like that sometimes. It's so handy that way. And then even pull it so that it's a little straighter. I'm still pulling it apart as well because I don't want to turn this over when I'm done and see that I got kind of a pleat. Very likely. What time is it? Oh, it's 1, okay. So I have a one ideal bag cut out, the one I kind of threw together for that cutting video. So if you guys ever want a live sew along, we can do that. I'll do it, another one. I'll wait though until people are like got their fabrics. I did not do a very good job at matching my side seam here. This French seam is so thick. Come on. I'm gonna trim this back right here. I watched 2 complete series this weekend. I watched The Great, which was pretty funny. I mean, it was quirky. The mostly or occasionally true story about Catherine the Great on Hulu. And then I've been watching Mrs. America. That is a good series. There's so many amazing women in that. What an amazing show. Anyone watching that? So good. I love Cate Blanchett so much. Okay, this is so thick. I'm going to trim down the seam allowance a little bit more. It feels like I have less to work with that I'm hemming over, and that might help me if I trim it down a little bit less. There we go. I wish I set myself up better for some of this stuff so that it doesn't look like such a struggle. Sorry, guys. I'm human. I rush into things too. I think that, yeah, I'm going to take this out right here. I'm going to go back just behind this hedgehog so that I can do my back stitch in the cream. That way it's not right there on him. Or her, I guess. I don't know. I'm using my awl to pull the stitches out because I'm scared. My seam ripper is brand new and I'm a little scared that I'll cut it. I watched The Great, which is with Nicholas Hoult and Elle Fanning, and she's the German bride Peter the Great's son marries in Russia, and so it's a very much a funny take on it, and it says an occasional true story. So, you know, don't use it as a history lesson, but it's actually pretty entertaining. It's good eye candy. But Mrs. America is so good. I'm really enjoying that. There's like, I think I want to say 7 episodes so far, and there's one each week. I don't know when it comes out. I literally was just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna get to watch TV. So I binged those. And no regrets. Here we go. See this how thick this is? This is what's going on here. I'm gonna get rid of some of this. This didn't get trimmed down as much. Get rid of that. See this big seam there. So let's trim this. Sometimes when you have the top edge is a little thicker, you're gonna have to trim that edge it's going over a little bit more. And it looks like I got a little narrow here too. That's already a lot easier. I feel it. I just don't want to start losing some of my edge because look at that gauze. I mean, it's like unraveling fast. So what is this thread right here? Stop it. Okay. Oof, these threads, you guys. Wait, next generation meaning, wait, we talked about this. God, I wish we had a secretary to write things down for me. Is that a remake? That's not right. I love Next Generation. That was my gateway Star Trek. I liked Voyager too, Sydney. I kind of liked them all. I thought some of the characters in Deep Space Nine were a little annoying. The counselor really drove me nuts. But I liked Voyager too. With I was gonna say Catherine Janeway, but I think that's the name of her character. What did I see her in? Oh, she plays the cook in Orange is the New Black. Oh, okay, cool, okay. You've just been rewatching that series? That's awesome. And is this your first time seeing it? And what do you, like, how does it hold? I really loved Battlestar Galactica. Now I'm not sure if it would hold up, but the remake of the Battlestar Galactica that came out, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. Yeah, exactly. They are a good background for sewing. I do that with, I used to have a TV in my sewing room, and I would watch old movies. I had it on AMC and Turner Classic movies before there were commercials, and it was just back-to-back movies. God, it was so good. All right, let's see how I did here. I could have done better. You can scream at me all you want, but it does look nice and clean, doesn't it? I saw someone say, oh, I feel like this dress is just going to float when you're done. And I totally agree that doing this kind of waist seam definitely gives it a little bit more rigidity there, body. But yeah, let's see how it looks. All right, look at that. Oh, you know what I didn't check? I didn't check to see if my center fronts match. Oh, but it's a curve, so we're going to be okay. All right. So next we have the button band here, and I'm doing it in a contrast. So I think I will stop here and we'll finish it tomorrow. But to clarify what I was saying in the cutting video, the button band does not sit like this, it sits like this. Away from it. So, just so you know. It's gonna be cute though. Yeah, the original is so cheesy. What's Farscape? What's Farscape? Was that like a, I don't know. What's the one Firefly? That one was pretty good. That one took a bit for me. People were like, how come you how come you never watched that? And then when I was like, this is kind of cheesy, I actually kind of really liked that one. I'm not really a big sci-fi buff, so. Oh, DS, yeah, I think so too. Okay. Feeling good about this. Sorry, it's going to be a part 3. All I have is the button band and the hems, though. And I think what I'm going to do is trim off a lot of these threads off camera, get it ready for tomorrow so you don't have to wait for me to sit there and do that. And then I think we're good to go. What's that? A little yellow dot. So cute, though. Thanks for sitting through my waist seam. A lot of threads. It's time to go back to work. It's a different spacey series. Okay, Farscape. Okay. See you, Barbara. All right. So I feel pretty good. I think I'll come back tomorrow. Oh God. Those Cylons are pretty terrifying. Are you a Big Bang Theory fan, Sydney? Because anytime that gal Katie Sackhoff is in them, this cracks me up. I love that they have those cameos. I'm not really a sci-fi nerd. I'm just a nerd about sci-fi nerds. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, in fact, Sydney, there's a Portlandia where they watch the last Battlestar Galactica and get obsessed with finding the person to write more. Have you seen that one? It's actually kind of funny. It's pretty good. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. And we'll finish up this dress, which I'm pretty excited about now. I'm like, might go try it on. And thanks for sticking with me through that waist seam. Is that all we did today? Oh, we did the inseam pockets as well. Those turned out really nice though. Yay! Oh, Sydney. I haven't purchased many shows, but I have that whole thing. It's just so funny. It gets funnier and funnier if you go once you've seen it all and then you go back. It's just funny. I got my friend into it, and I should show you. Where is it? I'll show you the card she made me. Now, if you're not a Big Bang Theory fan, this doesn't make any sense, but she made me a card. This is my birthday card. And basically she was like, thank you so much for turning us on to this series. It's been such a saving grace during the stay at home. And they're like on season 10. They're already getting sad that there's like only 2 seasons left. So I'm going to try and hang it up behind me. So it's kind of fun. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. Sorry I'm not finishing it. I feel like that'll just be a little too long for me today. But it was really great to see you guys. So I'll see you guys soon. And yeah, happy sewing.